I paid him $500 to stay with him for a month in his apartment to go stage there for a month.
Got you.
So I staged there for a month.
Got you. Who was the CDC at the time?
At the time was Scott.
Scott. Okay,
Scott
got
Clark,
you.
yeah.
And Matty Kramer
Matt
was right under him.
Yeah.
Got you.
Yep.
Was Andrew there? I just did the podcast with him. Drew. He's just like 2 podcasts ago. Andrew McLeod.
I don't know.
Okay, got you. He must have been after.
Yeah.
So you get there, you stage, and what's that like?
I stage for a month. Yeah, I go in as a commis every day. Evan was the AM sous chef. So we basically get there at 6 a.m. and it was like we live in San Francisco. It was expensive. Ubers are expensive. So we walk to work every day, like 5 miles, and then we sometimes walk home or Uber at night.
Yeah.
That was the life, and I remember it was another like Europe shock, like culture shock situation.
Yeah.
Like getting to work at that place at 6 a.m. Like you're starting the fire for the hearth at like 6 a.m. And it's like if you're not there at 6 a.m. like working, it's like a fucking problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, it's serious shit.
Yeah.
I mean, way more serious than anything I had ever been involved in at that point.
Gotcha.
Yeah, big time.
So that's what kind of drew you in.
And I'm coming in as a chef de cuisine, like opening a restaurant and leading 30 people.
Yeah.
And like, on anxiety level to like 100, like nervous, just because you haven't been doing anything like this for a little while, and
the pressure's on too.
Yeah, I mean,
you're like, give it to the CDC, and you're like, don't fuck it up.
They don't care. Like, they're not there to make sure you succeed. Like you're there to succeed or not be there.
Heard that. Okay, got you. So after the month, did you get the job offer?
Yeah. So got it. Quit Mofo. Moved to San Francisco. Found a place. There's some other things we don't need to mention in the podcast. That
all
happened,
good.
But there's some other like challenges that happened in between that. But we all rose above those challenges and made it there on time.
Yeah.
Started work on time. Everything. But yeah, even finding an apartment in San Francisco was hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like it took me like 2 weeks to find a place.
Yeah.
So I'm like staying from place to place to place to find a place. Like you put an application in, they take your money. They don't,
then they
no
never
places.
call you back.
Yeah, they keep your money. Like, I mean, it's just like that. It's like, it's not like here where you don't pay the application until you actually are allowed to do, like there. They're just taking your money to look at your shit, So spent a few $100 just looking at places. Finally got a place in Chinatown, North Beach, above like a Chinese restaurant, which was super sick. But I mean, it was like not anything I ever was experienced with. It was like a 1-room place for like $1,600.
It's like a closet.
Yeah, basically. It's enough for like a bed and a TV and a dresser, and that's it. And your shared bathroom and kitchen, shared bathroom and kitchen on each floor. Luckily, everyone there was probably 50 to 60 plus years Chinese or Asian. So they were like their hours were far different than mine. Yeah. So we never like conflicted on the bathroom and things.
Oh, great.
But it was a different lifestyle. But it was like, hey, this is it, and I jumped into it. Luckily I had the European experience kind of got me ready for that. I guess just culture shock situation. Mm-hmm. It was like, I'm doing this. Everything I'm here for is to work at this restaurant. That's it. Go there. I'm a commis for a couple months. It's very difficult. At the time, the time structures of everything is like every single day at this time this is done, this time this is done, that time this is done, that time that's done, but still all these other things have to be done. It doesn't matter if we bring you an extra hour worth of work, you got to do, it's got to get done. There is no coming in early and working for free to get ahead. There's none of that. I remember when I finally got moved up to chef de partie, I got messaged at like 2 a.m. from Matt, and he texted me and said, hey, we had to let somebody go. You're chef de partie now. Be here at 11 tomorrow. And I got that message at 2.
Yeah.
Normally I'd be at work at 6.
Yeah.
I show up at like, I think 9. He's like, get the fuck out of here. You can't start early.
Yeah.
If you can't do this.
Because they want the push.
Yeah. They're like, if you can't do this in this time, then you just can't do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to, and that's it. And so I had to go mess off for a little while, came back, and then, I had like 5 timers, and it was like things just being timed out. It took a while. It took about a month to get that down, and I remember once it got down, it just became that. But it took so long to like get to that point.
Yeah.
To become that thing where you didn't worry about every move you made. I mean, there was a point where it's like you've worried about every move you made because like the other chefs were watching you, the sous chefs were watching you, and I mean, hell, even like the servers probably are watching you at some point. 100%. Like not like literally watching you on purpose, but everyone is holding everyone accountable. Mm-hmm. So there is no escaping like perfection. Like there's no escaping it, and you want to do it. It's just it's nerve-wracking too at a certain point, and you're like, until you get used to it, you literally feel like if you take the wrong step, it's wrong. And like you think about every like breath you take, and I remember there was just a certain point where that went away, and I was able to just be, and that's when it became more fun. Mm-hmm. Still hard, but it became more fun. But in the first few months was brutal.
I'm sure
it was, and it was humbling. But I was accepting of that. I mean, I'm like at that point, I think I was like 31 years old. I'm like being a chef de cuisine, which that name, that title is whatever. That could mean a lot of different things. But from what you thought you were to what you had to be here was far, far, far from that.
Yeah,
and you hear people talk to you a certain way, and you're like, I have way more experience than this person, but they're above me here, and you just have to deal with it. It doesn't matter, whatever. Yeah. I had no problem with it because I wanted to get to a certain level, so I just accepted everything.
Yeah,
I was like, I was never like arrogant or I did this before. I just didn't care. I was like, all I need to know is when I leave this place, I've gained a lot of knowledge, and I don't care what happens in between.
Yeah. How long was your tenure there?
I was there like 10 months.
10 months.
Yeah, plus that month stage.
Yeah. At the end of those 10 months, what makes you want to leave?
Issues beforehand. A lot of issues beforehand moving there, and also too they were moving towards this opening 7 days a week and hiring. Like this was after we got number 26 in the world on Pellegrino list, and they started getting to the point that like they wanted to open up 7 days a week. They wanted to hire like another like 20 people, and we remember just a lot of us talking about, okay, well, if we're open 7 days a week and we're off 5 days or we're off 2 days, so we're just going to come in on that day after one person's worked our station for 2 days, because when you work a station there, it's your station.
Yeah.
It's yours. Until you move to another one. Like when I worked cold, I worked cold. That was my stuff for that time. When I moved to hot plate and sauce and things, that was mine. So to think that someone else would just be there randomly, that's also not been there for a while.
Yeah.
And people just was kind of talking like, they were going, it was kind of going in this more corporate thing. They want I guess the owners wanted to make more money, things like that. Well, when I quit, not because I quit, but it just, the writing was on the wall. I quit, and then like 10 people quit.
Got you.
And then they never went to that 7
They never did that.
They never ended up doing it. And then Matt took over, and then it went the way it went, and then he ended up ultimately leaving, and it is what it is.
Heard that.
But that was my point. And when I left there, a guy I met, Dave Hops. He was the hearth cook at the time. Me and him kind of hit it off. He's from Salt Lake.
Okay.
So when I left there, I went with him to Salt Lake to open up a little izakaya called Ikigai.
Okay. Is it still there?
It's not there anymore.
Okay.
It closed, a little bit less than a year.
Okay.
He ended up ultimately being the first right-hand man to Matt Cameron at Harbor House.
Okay, got you. Okay.
Yeah. So, and now he's opening a place called Gama in Point area near Mendocino. So
okay.
Shout out to Dave.
Yeah.
But yeah, me and him he was one of my best friends, man. He was like my brother. Love the dude. He taught me a lot about more so my time was cut short at Cezanne with I wanted to get on the reason why I wanted to get there was to be on like a hearth situation.
Yeah.
It didn't end up being there as much to be on that. So working with him doing Ikigai, I got to learn a lot of his
cooking.
Yeah, exactly.
Heard.
And then I've kept up with it for another 3 years past that. So
yeah.
he taught me a lot of stuff. A lot about me and him had the connection with sushi, and so he taught me a lot about the rice, and so my rice is is on point now. I take a lot of pride in that, and we do a lot of rice dishes here, featured around like koshikari rice, and
baby, it's the best.
It just it all worked out. It all worked out in the long run. But yeah, it definitely had its main place. That place for me was one of the best meals I had in my life at the point in time. Me and Mike Galata from August did a dinner in Napa.
Okay, where at?
I think it was for one of the champagne. I can't remember one of the champagne.
Okay, Krug or
it's one of those. I think it was Krug. I think it was Krug actually. And we ate at Cezanne because obviously my friend Evan, who was a sous chef at August, was a sous chef now at Cezanne. So we all had that connection. So we ate there, and the meal changed my life. I remember getting a duck breast that Josh had shot a month beforehand and aged it, and it was just duck and sauce, and it was incredible. It was the texture of tuna, soft, rare, that,
so
no
dope.
chewy, and then it was just I gotta work here, man.
Yeah,
it just. That was it.
That's dope that you took that inspiration and did something with it.
The fire cooking, the aging of the meats, the aging of the fish in the boxes. Everybody in the country now wants to do hearth cooking and ember cooking and aging, but that was the first place that was really doing it. That was a long time ago, and
Word
they were
up.
really doing it. And
dude, they came over. We did 12 days, and they broke our Jasper. Those fucks. they got it so hot that it they basically expanded it, and then the shelf would fall off now.
Oh, wow.
So, and I worked the meat station, so after they left for 12 days, I was like, God damn it.
Oh, no.
I remember one day I had lamb in there, 10 lamb rendering, and boop.
No.
They all slide to one side. Huge fire, right?
No.
And I'm like,
dude,
look behind me. I got chef looking at me what are you doing, you fucking idiot? And I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Hey,
what am I going to say? It was Cezanne's fault. It's no one cares. You know?
Whoever's there. Yeah, you get used to that. You get used to saying, hey, I'm not going to let anything else affect my culpability.
Yeah.
Even if it's my fault or not, it's always better to just and move on. It is that
better than fighting for sure.
It is, and sometimes it's just good to know if you know in your heart that it's not your fault. It doesn't matter what you got to do to. Sometimes pride don't pay the bills.
Exactly.
What are you going to do? You say something to somebody else and then still get shit on regardless. So it doesn't matter. Just whatever you got to do to move on and win. And keep progressing, That's just. I think I adopted that mentality a long time ago. It was just there was a certain point when I remember just saying yes, chef, made this shit end and move on.
Yeah,
and you could keep going up.
Yeah,
but if you didn't say yes, chef, you might start going down. And it's does the pride matter so much to start going down the roller coaster, or just say yes, chef, swallow it, and keep going up?
Exactly.
And just sometimes you just got to do that. And when you finally do decide to speak up, it's because you know for sure, this is what I'm going to stand behind.
And
it's
the lines have been crossed.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So you come back to this place, and you get back with Trey, and do you guys start talking about St.Germain? How does this even come up?
So basically, Drew, our other business partner, he was the GM of Mofo for a long time, which was the restaurant that we worked at with Mike Galata. Well, anyway, Drew and I have been talking about opening a restaurant. But we were talking more about opening a bar than anything else. And then Blake comes back, and we start talking about wine bars in Paris that we both really like, but then started talking about Septime and Chateaubriand and some other places and how we like their wine bar.
Yeah.
But then we're saying, but we also like the idea of affordable tasting menu and all this. And then we started thinking to ourselves, well, it's New Orleans is supposed to be one of the most French cities, but there's a lot of Croque Madame, that type of classic old school French places, but not really a place that was taking you to Paris right now.
Yeah.
So we kind of thought, well, man, that would naturally go really well in this city. So we just started talking about it, and we're like, well, heck, what if we try to find a duplex where half of it can be the wine bar and the other half can be a small dining room where we'll do like an affordable tasting menu.
Uh-huh.
And that's what we did.
Got you.